A few days ago, we brought you this fiery clip, and oh boy, did it light up the comments section.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate?
Was Mel Gibson absolutely tearing into Gavin Newsom, calling on every Los Angeles resident with a spine to vote the governor out for his pathetic mishandling of the recent ICE protests. But here's the thing, this wasn't some one-off rant. Mel has been on Newsom's neck for years, torching him for his blatant incompetence and political cowardice. And guess what? We've got all the receipts, every clip, every jab, every takedown. So smash that subscribe button because we're about to light this thing up. It's no secret how disastrously Gavin Newsom has run California since stepping into office. The state's a mess and everyone knows it. Even Bill Maher, yes, his longtime fanboy, couldn't stay silent. Here's what Maher had to say about Newsom's sorry excuse for leadership.
Very good, but Governor, you were the poster boy for a lot of this stuff. I see today the Trump administration they talked about, I don't know if this is true, but they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent, to me.
It's no surprise that Mel Gibson went after Gavin Newsom. The real shocker is just how brutal his takedown was. We're talking full-blown verbal evisceration. A few months ago, Newsom was handed one of the toughest challenges of his tenure. And he completely face-planted. No leadership, no accountability, just failure on full display. And when the dust settled, it wasn't just Gibson who came swinging. Joe Rogan joined the fight, and together, they tore Newsom to shreds. Brace yourself because this gets savage.
In 19, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Mel Gibson on this one, because let's be real, the only thing Gavin Newsom seems to have improved in California is his hair. That's it. When wildfires were ripping through the state, we were stunned to learn that 80% of California's water was being funneled into growing almonds. Not firefighting, not emergency reserves, almonds. This is a state that's historically fire-prone, yet Newsom had no viable water plan for disasters, no preparation, no urgency, just salon appointments and agricultural mismanagement. It's as if he's more interested in posing for glossy magazine covers than protecting his citizens. Californians aren't asking for miracles, just competent leadership, but instead they got a governor who's more focused on appearances and exports than survival. And the consequences? Burned homes, dried out land, and a public left to fend for itself. Interestingly, Mel Gibson wasn't the only celebrity to call out Gavin Newsom. Listen to John Voight's words.
Fool blaming Trump. What are you doing for this destruction of these animals destroying Los Angeles? Are you there? Talking calmly with them, you fool? They would burn you down like they're burning the cars and the American flag with no regard for humanity. This is not about Trump. This is about protecting the people from these animals and criminals trying to destroy us. And our police force, are they supposed to stand there, let rocks hit them and kill them? Who's going to save them? You? President Trump called in the National Guard and the Marines to help with these destructive, barbaric riot.
Voight doesn't hold back. He goes straight for the jugular, tearing into Gavin Newsom's rumored bid for the 2028 Democratic presidential ticket. And honestly, Voight's not wrong. The very idea of Newsom running for president should raise serious red flags for every American who values leadership over looks and results over rhetoric. If this is how he ran California, with skyrocketing homelessness, crippling taxes, rampant crime, and disastrous emergency responses, what exactly does he plan to bring to the White House? More photo ops? More virtue signaling? Newsom has turned one of America's most prosperous states into a cautionary tale, and now he wants to do the same on a national level. Voight is sounding the alarm, and we better listen, because if Gavin Newsom is the future of the Democratic Party, then the future looks dangerously incompetent.
What you do is cause chaos for the people. You're a disgrace. You're nothing but a lying dog for the hopes of becoming the president one day. And God is my witness, truth will prevail because of your faults and your incompetence for California's failures. We the people, I stand with Donald Trump to make this state great again. For we the people choose Donald Trump to save America, and we're in danger with threats from terrorists now, and we must protect our country. This has now become good against evil, and evil will lose because our President of the United States of America was sworn in to protect this nation's greatest gifts: freedom, safety, prosperity. And he will, because he is the greatest president since Abraham.
Voight believes President Trump made the right call by deploying the National Guard in Los Angeles, a move that helped protect lives, businesses, and restore a semblance of order when local leadership failed to act decisively. Voight sees it for what it was: a necessary intervention in the face of chaos and a glaring reminder of Gavin Newsom's inability to lead during a crisis. But it's not just Newsom's incompetence that disqualifies him from a serious presidential run. It's also his obsession with woke politics. Instead of tackling real issues like inflation, crime, and public safety, Newsom wastes political capital on performative activism and virtue signaling. His policies prioritize ideology over common sense, division over unity. That kind of leadership might score points in echo chambers, but it spells disaster on the national stage. And voters are starting to wake up, and one voter who's fully awake is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
For governor right now of California, how would you be handling the ongoing crisis that the state's facing?
Well, I think the most important thing is when you are in a leadership position like that is that you are inclusive and that you work together with everybody. And so it means that you have to work together with local government, the state government, and the federal government. They have to work together rather than fighting each other. Fighting each other's agendas and all of that stuff. That doesn't do good to anybody.
Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't mince words. He absolutely annihilates Gavin Newsom for his reckless refusal to cooperate with federal authorities during the LA crisis. When riots first erupted, Newsom didn't just hesitate. He actively sided with the protesters and even went so far as to dare President Trump to arrest him. That wasn't leadership, it was political theater at the expense of public safety. Schwarzenegger, a former California governor himself, was appalled. In his view, Newsom had a duty to rise above politics and prioritize the safety of Californians. Instead, he played partisan games while cities burned. Arnold believes the right move would have been to work with the federal government, regardless of who was in the White House, to restore law and order. Because when chaos hits the streets, leadership isn't about ego, it's about action. And Newsom failed that test miserably.
To do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work.
When it comes to the protests that shattered the peace in Los Angeles, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't hold back. He places the blame squarely on the shoulders of the immigrants who entered the country illegally. In his view, if they had followed the legal path to citizenship, they wouldn't be facing the chaos, fear, and public embarrassment of deportation. Arnold isn't sugarcoating it. He's been through the process himself. At 21, he came to America with nothing but a dream and the determination to do things the right way. Unlike the politicians pandering for applause, Arnold refuses to take a soft-hearted approach to the migrant crisis. He believes that respect for the rule of law is what made America strong, and that bypassing it weakens the very foundation of the nation. As someone who earned his place legally, he sees the system not as broken, but as abused by those unwilling to do the work. To him, immigration should be a process of honor, not chaos. Adding more fuel to the already blazing fire is Vice President J.D. Vance.
And Karen Bass, by treating this city as a sanctuary city, have basically said that it is open season on federal law enforcement. They have treated Border Patrol and border enforcement as somehow an illegitimate force instead of what they are, which is the American people's law enforcement trying to enforce the American people's laws. So when Gavin Newsom encourages violence and rioting, when he encourages people to get in the face of our great Border Patrol officers, he is absolutely endangering the lives of federal enforcement. He's absolutely endangering the lives of mothers and daughters and fathers and sons who have been sent here to do a simple thing, enforce the law. And thank God they're willing to do it despite the fact that the local leadership of this community has made it harder on them and has in fact endangered their lives as they go about to do their...
Gavin Newsom's decision to side with illegal immigrants and protesters didn't just send the wrong message, it put the entire city at risk. We all saw the footage. Streets in chaos, property reduced to rubble, innocent lives threatened. This wasn't peaceful dissent, it was lawlessness, enabled by a governor who chose politics over public safety. Sometimes leaders need to rise above the noise, set aside their personal agendas, and serve with selflessness. But not Newsom. He gambled with the lives of Californians, hoping that by aligning with the protesters and undocumented immigrants, he could score political points and whip up public outrage against President Trump. But he miscalculated. What he actually did was expose his own lack of judgment, proving that his loyalty lies more with optics and ideology than with the people he was elected to protect. And in moments of crisis, that kind of leadership is downright dangerous. Newsom finally got the memo and he apologized for his actions and inactions in California.
Going on in California, it isn't slowing down. The games are not slowing down. Newsom did eventually come out and apologize. If you want to go on Twitter, Rob, and just go to the apology video that he came out eventually. This is, I think, 4-5 days later. On day one, I asked him, I said, are you going to come out and do this? Watch how he's finally wanting to have his people be responsible. Go ahead, Rob.
Incite violence. I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account.
Okay.
That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested. And we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases. And people will be...
Gavin Newsom's apology is technically welcomed. Let's be honest, it came far too late to mean anything substantial. The damage was already done. As the saying goes, a stitch in time saves 9. And had he acted swiftly and decisively, much of the chaos could have been avoided. But Newsom hesitated, miscalculated, and watched as the situation spiraled out of control. This kind of indecision, wrapped in smug self-assurance, is exactly why a man like Newsom should be kept as far away from the presidency as possible. His actions reveal a leader more concerned with media optics and political posturing than with real solutions or the well-being of his constituents. He's slick, evasive, and seems to govern by listening to the small, self-serving voices in his head rather than the people he was elected to serve. America doesn't need another smooth talker. It needs a leader with spine, substance, and a sense of duty. Newsom, unfortunately, is none of those things. Gavin Newsom's tenure as California governor has been a masterclass in political theater and failed leadership. From siding with chaos over law and order to mishandling crises and placing image above impact, Newsom has consistently prioritized personal ambition over public service. Voices like Mel Gibson, John Voight, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even Bill Maher have called out his hypocrisy, incompetence, and vanity-driven politics. His late apologies and shallow virtue signaling aren't enough to mask the damage done. If this is the man eyeing the White House in 2028, Americans should think twice, because Newsom's America would be California's chaos on a national scale. And on that note, we draw the curtains on today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.